and a celebration of the incredibly hardworking and generous people that have made this nonprofit possible. And it's also a celebration of what lies ahead. So I wanted to take a moment just to reflect upon why our mission is so important and time-consuming, and sometimes it's even heartbreaking. So at Whiskers, calls for help come in all the time. And the calls a lot of times are from property owners who realize that just the number of outdoor cats that they're caring for has gotten out of hand. And a lot of times calls are just from community members who are really concerned about the stray cats that they see in their neighborhood. But whatever the situation is, the same question is always asked: can you help? And most of the time, most always the time is, the answer is yes. But help, it doesn't always look like what the caller might have envisioned. So since we started our organization in 2016, Whiskers has helped over 2,000 cats. I think that is something to So that is why the TNR in our name is really so important. And TNR stands for Trap, Neuter, Return, which most of you probably do know. But TNR is a method that is endorsed by the Humane Society of the United States. And the purpose of that is to cap the reproduction in cat colonies. So to do this, cats are caught in humane traps. They're spayed or neutered, vaccinated, and they are returned then to the outdoor spaces that they call home. But without TNR, let's just say that cats give rabbits a run for their money. A kitten can become pregnant as early as 4 months of age. And most cats have 2 litters every year, each with an average of about 4 kittens. Do you want to do that math? We love seeing those little kittens, so don't we? And if you haven't yet seen the kittens in the kitten room, make sure you can stop by and meet little Honeycrisp and Jazz. They are both available for adoption. And I love seeing those kitties too. The places I like to see them are in their indoor homes or in outdoor colonies with a managed colony with a dedicated caregiver. So if these kitties are left unchecked in outdoor colonies, they are truly fighting for their lives, sometimes fighting from the moment that they've been born. They fight against disease, against parasites, predators, malnutrition, starvation. We've seen it all. It's really sad. And another thing that kitties face in our area is the bitter cold Iowa winters. So an example that I'd like to tell you about is a project that we've been working on for the past several months. And we've been working at this property in Warren County. And if you've seen our website or our social media pages, you might have seen a number of cats that have names from music legends from the 1980s. Names like Cindy and Janet and Paula. And some of you might even have cards at your table that feature some of those cats. So they all, like I said, came from this one property. And before Cindy, before her true colors started shining through, she was really fighting for her life against some respiratory infection. And before Bobby, who was just dear to my heart, before he became this little foodie who was always playing when he's not eating, he was just this tiny little kitten that his mom, Dion, had tucked away in a cabinet in the garage just to keep him safe. And it's really hard for me, obviously, to talk about how a lot of these kitties' lives began. It's really not typical conversation at a party like this, but kittens like Cindy and Bobby, they are the reason that we are here celebrating tonight. So even as we were actually getting ready for the event yesterday, I went out to the property to return a cat that had been spayed and came back with the 42nd cat from this property. And its name is Blondie. So sticking with that 80s theme, for whatever reason, we haven't had a little Blondie cat, and Jenny Fee, who writes so many of our publications and everybody's bio, she's like, I really want a Blondie. So I was like, I'm excited to tell you that. Well, sometimes Whiskers, our volunteers, we will do that TNR work from start to finish. But our goal is really to equip property owners to roll up their sleeves. Because really the truth is, unless barriers exist that prevent a property owner from doing that work and stepping up, we really need them to do that work. And we need to help to continue to make a difference in Warren County, even if it is just one cat at a time. The outcome of TNR, however it is accomplished, there's nothing short of amazing about the work that we do. Certainly the work is amazing and exciting for the cats that end up in indoor homes and they get placed with loving families. But it's also wonderful to celebrate the cats that go back to their original homes, living as outdoor cats in their safe and managed colony. We're going to show a video from this property that we've been working at. It's been months working, so I hope you enjoy it and you might get a Kleenex.
The call came in July. A retired veteran in Warren County realized that he had more cats than he could care for, 20 at least, many with kittens or litters on the way. Could we help? It's a request that isn't out of the ordinary for Whiskers, but when two of our volunteers traveled the 30 miles across the county to get a feel for the situation, it was heartbreaking. Many of the adult cats appeared healthy, but most of all the kittens were fighting for their lives, their little bodies wrapped with respiratory illness and intestinal parasites. Whiskers brought back 9 kittens and a few adult cats that same day, and knew this was the beginning of a long, hard journey. Those first kittens were weighed, and with guidance from a veterinarian, given antibiotics and treated for parasites and fleas. 4 days later, we headed back to the property when the man said he found another cat with kittens. We found that sweet gray mama, whom we've since named Dion, and the babies she'd been so determined to keep safe that she tucked them away in a garage cabinet. But one of the kittens was lifeless by the time we found them. The other 2, Bobby and Whitney, were dangerously ill, their eyes matted shut, then their little lungs fighting for air. So back we came to the Whiskers building with 8 more cats and kittens who desperately needed our help, including a cat on the verge of giving birth. And the story continued like this until Whiskers intervened for 39 felines at this property alone. While the goal of Whiskers TNR is to enable property owners to do TNR work themselves, the circumstances of this particular situation meant an intense project for our volunteers, almost from start to finish. And there are still even more cats who need to be spayed or neutered, ones that will be difficult to catch. Our progress so far would have been impossible without the help of the veterinarians and the staff at Animal Medical Clinic Meow Mixer, and all creatures small, especially Dr. Jacoby, who took the lead in providing initial exams and treatment plans. Whiskers also depended on furry friends, and Iowa State University to spay or neuter some of the adult cats who were able to be returned. And then there are the foster heroes. Every volunteer at Whiskers TNR who had capacity to help made room for more cats and kittens in their home. The phrase labor of love comes to mind. Every kitten is weighed every day, given medications as needed, and provided the best nutrition and given lots of love. After all, after their rough start in life, they deserve it. And we want to get them ready to meet their forever heroes, their adopters. In fact, many of these cats and kittens are available for adoption right now. Just look at the kitties labeled 80s music legends on our website. Dion is there, and Bobby, a jaunty black and white kitten, who now lives to play instead of struggles to live. And Paula, and Tiffany, and Janet, we could go on. But you won't stop it. Although Whiskers volunteers were able to save her at first, a rough start in life proved too much for her body to overcome. And so we're not done yet. We've seen the tragic outcomes of cats left to reproduce endlessly. We've seen the power that TNR has to change lives. And the call continue to come in.
Okay, so now that you guys all know a little bit more about Whiskers TNR and what we do, I'd like to talk with you a little bit more about what the future holds for Whiskers and the role that you all have to play in that future. In the 7 years since Whiskers has started, the biggest hurdle that we always run into is lack of spay and neuter appointments available on demand, I guess you could say. We rely on a number of partnering veterinarians to schedule these appointments when possible. This can lead to frustration from community members when we don't have those appointments available for them, and they may not have the ability to actually care or hold those cats until that surgery date comes. So when Whiskers won our first Petco Love Story Prize, we saw this as an opportunity to meet this need for the community. We started working toward putting together a surgical site in our Whiskers building where veterinarians can actually come out and do the surgeries on a more regular schedule, so those appointments would be available when we do get those inevitable calls from the community. We are so very close to making this a reality. Most of the needed equipment has been purchased, and we have a number of veterinarians who have committed to coming out to actually perform these surgeries there. In addition to our TNR work, we will continue to adopt out as many cats and kittens as we possibly can, but as we have availability. In order to do this, we do need more foster homes. Right now, we are definitely short on open foster homes, and we currently have over 40 cats and kittens waiting in the Whiskers building for a foster home or an adoptive home. But with additional foster homes, there's an increased need for administrative help in dealing with those foster homes in order to stay in compliance with state of Iowa regulations. With all of this, of course, there comes a cost. Whiskers is 100% volunteer run. Nobody receives a salary for what we do. Every penny that we receive goes directly to the cats. Whiskers has no guaranteed funding source, so we rely on the continued generosity of our donors to keep us going. We've also been very lucky to have been awarded multiple grants and prizes in the program, and those have been mostly used to get that surgery suite stocked with necessary equipment. They've also gone a long way to help fill in gaps when large unexpected expenses have come up. This is where you all come in. The money that we raise tonight will be used to forward our cause for next year. We are so very thankful each and every one of you came out to help us celebrate and to show your support for the work we do. We wouldn't be able to do it without you.